Welcome to Sci-Fi Frontier. I'm Dominic. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Rutger Hauer in Split Second. This is a movie that knows exactly what it is and is totally self-aware about what it is. So now this movie, you've probably seen the cover of this movie a million times when they had video stores. I've always seen this cover pop up in science fiction / horror section. So I found it on Amazon Prime a few weeks ago and gave it a watch because one, I'm a fan of Rutger Hauer, and I'm a big fan of, like, especially from the 80s and 90s, those like cheesy straight to video sci-fi movies, and this totally fits. Now this might have been released in theaters, limited release maybe, I'm not sure if this is totally straight to video, but it definitely has that straight to video vibe to it. So now this movie is, as far as B movies go, and as science fiction B movies go that were made in the 90s and early 90s and stuff, this is gold, this movie. So this is a fun movie to watch. And what makes it so fun is Rutger Hauer's performance, and he just goes out of his way and totally hams it up in this movie. Big time. And you can tell that he is just having a blast playing this character and being in this film. It's a movie that knows it's a B movie, it knows not to take itself serious, and it's totally self-aware, knows what it is. That's what I really love about it. As opposed to some movies that try to be more than what they are or something. It's hard to explain, but you know what I mean. Where this doesn't do that. So I'll just kind of give a quick rundown of the basic plot of this movie. So Rutger Hauer is a cop in some future period in London, and it's post-apocalyptic. So this is like something that happens a lot in the 90s. A lot of, even now, a lot of B movies that come out, they're usually set in post-apocalyptic. Because the reason why they do it is because you can make a cheap sci-fi movie if you set it post-apocalyptic. Because you can just film it in some rundown area and just say, like, almost anything will pass for post-apocalyptic. And so in this case, it's global warming has flooded most of the earth, so a lot of London is flooded and things like that. So they're in this post-apocalyptic environment that was caused by natural disaster. And, or not natural disaster, but environmental factors, global warming factors kind of deal. And so Rutger Hauer is a police officer who's like fallen off the wagon. He's, totally lost it. He's not even really part of the force anymore. And he's obsessed with getting a serial killer that killed his partner. And so a serial killer that has kind of gone dormant now has started up again. And so now he's obsessed with finding it, but they don't even want him on the case. But then they end up kind of bringing him back because he knows so much about this serial killer. But then they kind of give him a partner. They do give him this partner, and he has to work with this partner to help him solve this mystery of this killer. And now, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not because it's right on the cover of the movie. The serial killer they think is a man. Turns out it's not a man. It's some kind of a creature. And so some of the people that are in this movie is you've got Rutger Hauer, who plays the main character. Not only that, you've got Kim Cattrall and Alistair Duncan and Michael J. Pullard and a few other familiar faces that you probably recognize in other movies. And so now the interesting twist is, well, it's not even really a twist, but Kim Cattrall is the wife of his partner that was killed. And when his partner was killed, he was actually having an affair with his partner's wife, the character of Rutger Hauer. That's a weird subplot that's in the movie. And so he feels like this extra guilt on top of that. So now, the good thing about this movie is usually when they do like a creature movie that's, I've seen a few B movies, sci-fi movies, where they do a creature and the creature just looks absolutely terrible and ridiculous. And it totally just takes you out of the movie. Now, I've got to say, for a low-budget movie, the creature in this actually looks fantastic. And you don't really get to see the whole thing until the end. It's kind of teased up to it. And it's kind of implied it might be a demon, not quite. They kind of fudge on what it is. It could be a demon because it's not brainless. It's actually quite intelligent. And it's actually stalking the main character. So the main character, he can also kind of sense when this thing, he has a weird sense, he can sense when this thing is around and it's about to attack. But just the creature in this movie looks fantastic, and it's got like really good, some really good action in the movie, and it's got like everything that a cheesy sci-fi B movie needs. It's got like scantily clad women, big guns, and a monster going around tearing people up. So and it's always got that classic. That's kind of a, I guess what the word is, trope, where you kind of got that train wreck cop. Like that's been done so many times in movies, where you've got a cop who's like this hard-boiled cop, but his life is just a complete, he's like a fantastic cop, but his life is a complete mess. And the chief has, like, he's nothing but a constant headache for the chief of police in their department. And this is the same way. Rutger Hauer's character is just a complete messed up train wreck of a character. And, can't get his personal act together. But, as far as him being an investigative cop, he's like really good at his job. And then, so his partner is kind of like the opposite of him. He has his life and his act all really together. And he's, very more refined and does everything by the book kind of thing. So he kind of got that classic pairing of the two cops in this. And Kim Cattrall does a really good job in this movie as well. And it just has a great atmosphere to it, like, with the lighting and the sets and things like that. And I just really enjoyed this movie. And so now, should you go watch this movie? If you're a fan of science fiction B movies that came out in the 80s and 90s, or just a science fiction B movie fan in general, you gotta watch this. This is a good film. I had a blast watching this film. And this is a film I'm probably going to watch again. And it's one of those films that I wish I had seen it back in the day, because I always saw it in movie stores and just always remember picking it up. It's one of those movies I've always picked up and then really never got around to watching and put it back down on the shelf. But they're, because I used to watch a lot of these movies growing up, especially throughout the 90s. I had an older brother that every time he went to the movie store, he would always come home with a movie like this. Usually 2 movies like this he'd usually come home with. And so I've seen a lot of these type of movies. And so I have a really, a lot of fondness for these type of movies. And also I had a friend of mine that every time we would go to the video store, we'd always end up renting some kind of a sci-fi B movie, or sci-fi horror movie, B movie, something like that. So yeah, just a fun blast of a movie. And Rutger Hauer, does a fantastic job in this movie. And if you're a fan of Rutger Hauer, definitely see this one. It's great. And the creature looks really good for a B movie. So there's not really much more I can say about this, but just go watch it. I mean, this is a good film. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. Thank you to all of my subscribers, and thank you for watching this video. And if you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for notification when new videos are uploaded.